Soil binders. Binders are going to be grease, oil, animal fat, anything that doesn't mix with water are called soil binders. And then what they do is they hold on to the particles of soil that are dissolvable by water. For instance, breadcrumbs, sand, anything of that type to hold it together. The binder acts as a glue. Now in cleaning, a lot of times we think that if we use hot water, it's going to clean better. It's really not true because the hot water is going to melt the binder versus emulsifying it. And when you melt the binder, it becomes fluid as it will mix with water. If you boil fat in hot water, the fat melts and it moves in the hot water. But the problem is that as that water cools, the binder is going to move towards what is cold and stick to it. And when something gets emulsified, that's different. That's when the detergent takes the binder, whether it's oil, fat, grease, and it breaks it up into billions of microscopic pieces, and it encapsulates those pieces. So even though to you it looks like an ocean of smoothness, like an ocean of chicken fat or something, but what happens is microscopically all those little pieces that make up the whole are encapsulated. They kind of move together like ball bearings, and the maximum amount of soil will collect in the formation of the binder. For instance, on the left you have the carpeting. Well, a lot more binder was collected in the middle of that carpet, so therefore more soil was held to that. So where there is more binder, you'll have more soil. The same thing in the middle tile. The grease collected on the top of the tile, so the soil collects there, and then the grease moves into the grout and the soil will collect there. Same thing with that mop bucket. The detergent wasn't quite doing its job in emulsifying all of the binder, so what happens? It sticks to the sides of the bucket and the wringer, and then soil begins to cling to it. And then you have ugliness, you have odors, you have a slipping condition, and then of course where you have soil you're going to have germs. What we did here is to show you the difference. Melted binders in the frying pan on the left is chicken grease, and when it melts it actually flows with the water. On the right it was put in the refrigerator and it became solid. It moves when it's hot. And if you mix that in hot water, it would move with the water, but not all of it, because some of it would be attracted to what's cold. Here we're putting ice cubes in the detergent solution. And then we're taking the cold chicken fat, and we're going to be introducing the cold detergent. This would happen, let's say, in a large commercial refrigerator, something spilled on the floor. You could actually have it build up like this, and then you would scrub it with a brush or something. You have to introduce the detergent into the solidified binder. Now, after a minute or two of mixing it like this, you can see it's starting to emulsify the chicken fat. And now we're going to do some close-up shooting of that. Do you see how homogenized the fat became? The fat's there, it looks like it's all together, but really it's not. Microscopically, there's billions of little pieces of chicken fat encapsulated in the detergent solution. And that will now move freely off the floor, off the wall, down the drain. And because it's encapsulated, it really can't stick to anything, as you'll see here. Now this is a spoon going into that grease. Now you can see the grease is there. Of course, there's more water than there is grease. But look how homogenized that is. It's totally encapsulated. Now when you put the spoon under running ice cold water, every stitch of that grease is rolled off that spoon and there's no residue left on that spoon. And then about 3 hours later, we let it set for a while. We just took a ladle and put it in a clean wine glass. And it's the same result we're looking for as we did with the spoon. You can see, you can swish it in the wine glass, but nothing is sticking to the sides of that wine glass. That's because the detergent, the fast detergent, has totally encapsulated that chicken fat. And when you run it under cold water and rinse it, all of that grease rolls out of that glass and goes down the drain, and nothing is going to remain on that glass. And the glass comes out crystal clear. There was no mechanical action or anything. It just rolled right out. Now think about that going down the drain. The way it didn't stick to the glass, it's not going to stick to the pipes of the drain. It's not going to stick to the floor or the wall you're cleaning. And after the glass dried, I took it outside and took a picture of it up against the cloud. And look at it, it's crystal clear. There's not a stitch of grease on it. But on the right is a drain that was captured by picture when they kept on pushing grease down the drain, thinking that the hot water was melting it, it would move. Well, it only moved as far as it could go until it turned cold. And then when it turned cold, it stuck to the side. The new grease stuck to the old grease, and so on, and eventually you had a plugged drain. Fast 1, 2, 3, foam it on using a foam gun. If you clean like a kitchen floor daily, you won't have all of that grease building up in a 24-hour cycle. So you can clean that floor, you can foam it down and then just swish a mop around and rinse it down the drain. And all of that will go down the drain, but nothing will stick inside the drain because of the way the detergent encapsulates the grease. Or you can mop your solution on the floor. Now, I don't recommend, if the floor is greasy, I don't recommend picking it up with a mop because it's just going to make your work 3 times harder. The best thing to do is just vacuum it up. But in this picture, look at how homogenized that restaurant floor grease is in that water. It's almost like a cream. And you can see the grout is clean, the tile is clean, and that is ice cold water that was mopped on that floor, and it emulsified the grease on contact.